And I just literally had to go through a whole motion where it was like, God, allow me to forgive all these people that is doing what they doing towards me, because it's like I don't deserve it. And I had to go back to like where some of this stuff stemmed from. And I remember when I was in Oklahoma, it was this girl that lived next door to us. And I think they were Indian or something like that. The girl name was Sequencia, and I was babysitting her, right? So I know where the story stemmed from. But however, a lot of people wanted to tell the story in a whole different way. And with it, I think Quincy was at that time, I think she was like 10 or 11. I was 12 going on 13 at that time. And while we was babysitting or whatever, got bored and I was like, okay, we played hide and seek. I think we played some board games and stuff like that. And then it was like, oh, well, let's play house. I'm speaking my truth because it's not like I'm fit to let anybody hold any shit over my head to make it seem like, oh, you were a predator or you were this and you were that. No, motherfucker, we were like, I was like 12 or fucking 13. Still not understanding or process anything, because the only way for me to get, what I needed or what I had wanted, it was like basically I was the source of babysitting for everybody, but I didn't mind it. But mind you, at the same time, and I'm not going to justify what I did was right because it was completely wrong. However, at that same time, I was still getting assaulted by men and women, okay? So, of course, growing up playing house, y'all should be able to fill in that part. However, with Quincy, it didn't ever really get that far, but it almost did. And I remember, as kids, I was over there at her house and I was watching her or whatever because, our mamas was out there in the streets real heavy, messing with them soldiers and stuff. And I remember because when we was playing house, we went into the closet and I was like, well, which character you want it to be? I think she was supposed to be like the mama. I was supposed to be like the daddy or whatever the case may be. However, it went from we gave each other a kiss, and then after that, it was just like, oh, what do we do after this? I remember on my behalf, because I can only speak on my behalf, and I remember clear as day that I didn't touch her. I was about to touch her private part. I didn't touch her private part though, but I was about to, and she was like, we ain't fit to do this. And when she, mentioned it, because that was like the first time, but mind you, every instant anybody's house I was going to and stuff like that, I was always either like the child or, yeah, I always had to play like the child character. I didn't ever have to really play mom or dad, or I would have to play mom or dad when it came to the adults. And in that instant, I remember just almost, touching her private part. And I was about to, she was like, don't you do that. This is wrong. And then, she pushed me or whatever. And I was just like, oh, shit. And that's when I went into shock. I was like, oh, shit, I can't believe I almost did this to her. And then it was just like, what went through my mind, I was like, okay, we too old. So she ended up calling like her mom and her family, and everybody came in. Everybody came in and was talking about it. However, Quincy at that time had, whenever she would get mad, she would exaggerate the story and take it there. And she took it there as if I actually did, like, was playing in her, stuff like that. Like, no, you literally pushed me away. And I remember telling the adults, like, no, I was about to, but I didn't. And it was like, it was a bunch of confusion where they was like going back and forth like, oh, okay, well, she can't come back over here no more. And which it was cool because it was like, okay, I have a clear understanding, and I didn't get no money because I was supposed to get paid. And I remember just like sitting with that like, damn, I almost did that to somebody, and because so many people have been doing that to me. Now, the only person that I really had a chance to sit down with and tell that with before she passed away was my aunt Denise, and she knew I was telling the truth. Like, auntie, I didn't know no better. And from that point, like, I remember my mama was over there. I want to say, like, my auntie and them had came over, and they took that story for years. When I say for years, it was like they'll go tell all their friends, like, yeah, you know, she be touching on kids and stuff like that. That's how I knew that that's what the story was that they would tell people, because I used to be like, why people acting funny with their kids around me? You know, I'm not on no funny shit like that. And then it was like, well, you know, she was like 12 or 13 when she did this shit. And it was just like, why y'all sitting here whispering this shit to people? Because it's like, it's already, like, to me, it was already embarrassing enough. I was already ashamed. However, it wasn't nobody taking me anywhere to go get the help or whatever. However, it made complete sense when my mom went to go move with the girl's mama. Her mama was named Erin, and Erin's sister's name was Michelle. So my mama moved somewhere, either it was like Indiana or Illinois or whatever, and she was like, Michelle and her homeboy stole all my shit. Well, shit, I would steal all your shit too if I could remember the bullshit you try to sweep over when it came to my niece. I'ma steal your shit too. Like, I didn't blame Michelle, but it was just like, I had a lot of writings and stuff like that that I used to do, writings, my drawings and all that other stuff, and they had stole that. However, my mom wanted to play like she didn't know what that shit was about, which I already knew that they had got into the argument about what happened with me and Quincy. But nobody ever really came to me and asked Rita, like, hey, what really happened, you know, in the room? Like, we was in the closet, we was getting, you know, I kissed her, she kissed me, and I was getting ready to, you know, do that to her. But she, you know, basically let me know, like, hey, that's wrong. And it was like, wasn't nobody taking into consideration, like, hey, this girl is always locked up. She's to herself. We don't know what she always doing, but the only thing that they knew was, shit, Sharita went to school. She was always dressed up nice, but didn't nobody ever really know personally what was going on behind doors when it came to what Sheila would do whenever she needed that money and when them desperate moments come. Because when them desperate moments was coming, even from the time I was little, all the way up until I was like, what, 16, I would basically, every time I was at home or some shit, and Sheila was desperate for money, this shit would just turn into somebody doing something to me sexually, man or woman. And I would just really just have to chalk that up. And then it was just like, okay, well, when is anybody going to ever hear my side of the story? And I just got to a point where it was just like, fuck it, why would I talk about my side of the fucking story? And then it was just like, I remember just sticking to just messing with girls or talking to girls intentionally, because it was just like, every time I come home, it was like, oh, you over here looking for some boy. You chasing after some boy. Like, why are y'all protecting? I was like, I don't really even care about boys. I really don't even fucking care about girls. But shit, that's the only choice you really fucking giving me. And then it was like, when I realized, like, when that incident happened, like I said, I was like 12 and she was like 10. I might have been turning 13. I think I was getting ready to turn 13, because I didn't turn 13 until we got ready to leave for Tennessee. And because I was 13 when we left for Tennessee. That happened a year prior, so I was like 12 years old. So Quincy should have been, she was probably between 9 and 11 when that happened. And I remember telling them, like, I didn't touch her, because I didn't touch her stuff down there, but I was about to. And like I said, you know, she had pushed me before it even got to that point. But then it was at that same time I understood, like, shit, I fucked up. That was wrong. And I did apologize to her. I was like, look, I do apologize. That was wrong. Because basically she did have a little bit more common sense. I don't know what Quincy was exposed to whenever I wasn't away from her, but I think that was like maybe my second or third time like watching her or whatever. And then we played, you know, the house game. Playing the house game, if anybody know and you've been, you know, traumatized in that way, that's what they used to do when you're a little kid. Like, especially when you're like 4 to 6 years old, they call it let's play a house or let's play a game. And that's, you know, only thing that I really basically knew. But however, most people used to trust me with their kids. But when that incident happened, that's when I had noticed, was like, why were people acting funny? I didn't know no fucking better. Like, bitch, I'm autistic, so shit, processing shit was very difficult, especially if nobody really explained it to me. And I remember when it came to it, and that was like my first instant of having compassion, because Erin, she would come to me and she talked to me, and I told her what happened, and she was like, you know what, Sharita, I'm not even gonna blame you though. And I remember her, you know, like running it down to me, and I kind of had like tuned it out, because I kind of, you know, I still felt bad, and she would still give me money, But the thing of it was, she would be like, Sharita, you sit up in here in the living room. You can't leave the living room. Quincy, you will go back into your room, unless you just coming out here and asking for Sharita to make you something to eat. And that's just what it was. Like, I wouldn't go bother her. She wouldn't come bother me. Or it would be like, hey, Sharita, just go knock on the door and make sure, Quincy is okay and she's not messing with the stove or something like that. And that was like the end of that. But after that incident kind of blew up, that's when we ended up, I guess she met this dude from the truck stop, and that's when we moved up to Tennessee. And I just remember just sitting there with all of that, and like for years I was just like, I couldn't understand like why would, and I was like, that was the only incident that shit had ever fucking happened in. And it was just like, mind you, this shit was happening to me like on a constant. Going over to cousin's house, going over to play cousin's house, or, be at random dudes' house and they got kids and shit like that. I was, getting touched on and fondled and all this other crazy shit. But wouldn't nobody say nothing. But that one time that, I almost did it myself, because, of course, naturally, that's why I have a clear understanding whenever that shit kind of happened. It's like you start asking questions. And I remember that shit happened with my daughter and my cousin's daughter. I'm not going to say their names, but when it happened to my daughter and my cousin's daughter, I remember like, hey, what the fuck? I came in on it. I was like, what the fuck? Here go my mom and my auntie trying to brush it up. Girl, they just, no, bitch, we need to get to the bottom of it and figure out what led them to this. Did something happen? Like, I'm wanting to ask questions and figure, you fit to scare them and no, y'all the ones scaring them because y'all sit here trying to tell me not to figure it out. And it was like at that moment, that's when I knew, like, my mama and her sister would come together on stupid shit when they was trying to cover up shit. However, when it came to, my situation, y'all wasn't covering it up. Y'all was sitting there making sure nobody, don't keep your kids around her, don't do this and stuff like that. And I'm just like, what the fuck kind of shit is that? Like, I am not that kind of person. I wouldn't ever do that, especially intentionally, you know what I'm saying? And then even when I was 15, and I remember I whooped my mama's fucking ass. Like, I'm talking about shawty was leaking everywhere. And they had arrested me, and I remember when they arrested me, the resource officer at that time, I think I was going to like Niceville High School. It was Officer Cook, and she was just like, Sharita, I would not ever expect that from you. And I remember her bringing me into her office, and I remember telling her everything like that was happening to me. And she was like, baby, it was like she couldn't say too much because it was just like hearing it, it was like it kind of broke her heart. And I remember her talking to one of the deans of the school at the time that I was going to, and they was, making sure that they encouraged me. And it was 3 white women, and Miss Kathy Turner, it was Officer Cook, and I can't remember the other lady. But I just remember they would just watch out and be like, hey, everything okay? They wouldn't ask about home because they would, didn't want to trigger me too much. But they just knew it was like, she's smart, she's intelligent. And then it was like, whenever it was time to go to court, so my mama wouldn't incriminate herself, like, she's a good girl and she don't deserve to do this. And it was just like, so much shit just like happened over the fucking years. And I was just like, shit, fuck it, I'm going to speak my truth and I'm going to stand in that, because ain't nobody fit to make me feel embarrassed or ashamed or any of this shit. Because I'm like, a lot of people went through some of this shit, and some people ain't never had to do that, because, kudos to you that you had good parents that recognized the signs, that knew the red flags, that kept you safe. I didn't have that. I didn't have that security of anybody keeping me safe. Shit, the most dangerous person that I was in the hands of was my own damn mama. That, shit, she would sell me off. Shit, if they was for the right price, she would sell me off if it was right. And it was just like, kudos to y'all that y'all didn't ever have to go through that type of abuse or that kind of neglect or that kind of trauma, to try to sit there and pinpoint like, oh, well, what? Like, I didn't know you had to go through that kind of stuff. No, motherfucker, until you had to go through half the shit that I had to go through, ain't nobody got any room to say anything to fucking to me or to my fucking face. Like, shit, half the time, y'all not even fucking brave enough to say half the dumb shit that you say on a fucking daily basis. Oh shit, her hair don't look cute. Well, bitch, go say that to her face. Oh, homeboy over here slacking, he over here messing on his girl. Well, why don't you tell his girl that when she right there? Oh, you scared that y'all gonna get into a fight? Like, and that, it was like in that moment I knew it was just like I couldn't care about anything. I couldn't care about what nobody had to say or do. And it was just like, like I'm attracted physically, mentally, and emotionally to men, but it was just like getting friends or any of that shit. It was just like basically I had to always stand in my truth, and I couldn't be as scared or afraid about what somebody was gonna say or do towards me or how they was gonna behave just because it was like, oh, you gay, you a lesbian. No, I'm not neither one of them. But it's basically I'm reliving traumas, and until I had actually got into therapy, and it wasn't until after that incident happened with my son, after I came back home from Afghanistan, was when the therapist basically broke it down to me like, baby, you is traumatized. You are a walking time bomb, and I don't even know how you even standing up and keeping yourself up, because any other person would have been already off themselves, or or would be afraid to even say half the shit that you say. Like, shit, I'm not motherfucking scared. Like, shit, it happened, and there's nothing that I can do about it. It's not like I can go back in time and undo it. However, I know when I did do that to that girl, I felt so bad. I felt ashamed. I felt embarrassed. I felt guilty. However, it was like at the same time, I knew I was just grateful that I didn't take, what I'm saying, like follow and get all up in the girl stuff like that. And I remember her taking it there because it was just like, it was already bad enough where, when everybody came in the house and they was just like grilling me down. I'm sitting there thinking I was about to get a beat down, and I still did get a beat down or whatever. But it was like they whooped me over there at her house, and then when I got home, when I talk about my mama beat the fuck out of me, beat the fuck out of me. Okay, do you hear me? And it was just like, at that point, it was just like, okay, something gotta give. And then if it wasn't like being accused of, oh, you touching on kids, or you doing this, or you looking at, women wrong, and it was just like, I didn't even know at that point, like, am I supposed to like women? Am I supposed to like men? And it was just like, I wanted a man. I knew biblically it was right. And it was like, yo asked me to go to fucking church. So it was just like, they were trying to force church down my throat. Mind you, my great grandma was the fucking deacon of the church. So it was just like, oh, she needs the exorcist and she need to be prayed over. And I remember telling my great grandma about, what happened or whatever. Of course, my mom and my auntie going to her and, amplifying it and making it seem way worse than what it even fucking was. So, of course, she was treating me mean. So I just really didn't really have nobody treating me nicely. My grandma was on crack at that time. So it was just like, well, damn, where is my safe haven at this point? And my only safe haven was my aunt Mary and Denise. And before she passed, I remember when I went to her house or whatever, I spoke to her and I told her, what happened and stuff like that. And the only thing she could do was like, just call me like, come here, niece, come here. I know that it wasn't something that you did on me. Like, she knew. And that was like the only person that I knew that I could be safe around, that I knew I could actually cry. Because it got to a point where shit, they would beat the fuck out of me just to see if I would cry. And it was just like, having to sit with that fucking trauma my whole fucking life, it was like, man, what other dirt are y'all looking to try to dig up on somebody? Because it's like, it's really outside of that. It's like nothing. Like, shit. The one time I stole candy out of the store, I ain't ever stole ever fucking again. It was a black dude. He was like, come here. And when I took it, he was like, now put it back. And he was like, come here, how much money do you got? And he was like, and then the money I had, he counted, he was like, look, put that back, this is what you can get. And then after that, he was like, I don't want to see you no more at this store. That was the last time I ever stole from my fucking store. Like, I remember stealing a piece of fucking candy. I ain't never feel so guilty and so bad until that fucking day. And it was just like, shit, I had cousins and they'd do that shit all the fucking time. But it was just like, whenever I did it, I was always getting caught. So it was just like, at that point, when I was like 12, 13, I just knew it was like, look, you can't be stealing, you can't be lying, you can't be hurting people. Because at that time, when I hit 12, turning 13, karma was hitting me left and fucking right. And at that point in my life, I knew it was just like, Shooter, you can't be hiding what you do. You can't be hiding what you saying. You can't be scared of, like, I couldn't be scared no more. And it was just like, from that point on, I just knew, and even still now, I'm not for the hide shit. Shit, if you ask me if I did it, if I did it, I'm going to admit to it. If I didn't do it, I just didn't fucking do it. And I'm not going to make nobody fucking make me feel guilty about shit. Like, oh, I ain't never done no other hard drugs. I did shroom, like, what, twice. And weed, shit, I didn't do weed until what, maybe what, 2020, 2019. Shit, my first alcohol beverage wasn't until I was 23. And it was just like, it was a binge, but it was just like growing up on stuff and just wanting to feel numb and not feel the pain of having people make me feel guilty about any fucking thing. Like shit happened in your fucking life. Shit, my biggest abusers were fucking family members, cousins and relatives and friends of the family and fucking soldiers and shit like that. And then it was just like half of these motherfuckers would wait until I got older. Like, I think this man's name is James Marsh. And I remember he went into my motherfucking Facebook Messenger. Like, oh, I see you done grew up. Like, the fuck? I was so fucking disgusted. He was like, tell your mom, no, motherfucker, you got her Facebook page. Go tell her fucking hell out. And I just remember, like, back to back, these were fucking people that, my mama used to fuck with. And it's like, they in my fucking Facebook. That was around the time where I went on ahead and deleted my Facebook because I was like, something is not fucking right. These motherfuckers is not that they make me feel crazy or nothing like that. But then it was just like, I just understood what it was. And then, like, being married to, soon to be ex-husband, if he ever signed these fucking papers, it was just like everything about him was about money, 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 money. But he'll get bitchy like a fucking female because I would go out here and get it. And it was like, where's all my money going? If when I'm giving you the money, like I remember going impatient because I put myself impatient. Mind you, didn't no doctor make me go impatient. Did nobody, my parents, nobody didn't say, Sharita, you need to go. No, I did it myself because I just knew something wasn't fucking right and I couldn't put my finger on it. And it's just like I kept feeling like I was going crazy. I felt like I was losing my shit. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And it was just that one moment, my oldest, she was just getting real reckless out the mouth and I couldn't fucking understand it. But it was just like around that time, that's when my mama was trying to come together. They was always fussing at me or something. And then my ex, my soon ex-husband, him and my mama's all of a sudden buddy. And then my mama used to talk all this cash shit about his mama, but then all of a sudden they fucking buddy. So I knew it was just like, I was like, shit, they got the same thing in mutual common about this, the same way they get money, they tricking out here. They got jobs, but they still tricking on the side to get the fucking money and shit. And it was like they would be mad because I didn't see the joy. I didn't see the kick out of, finessing a man out of his money. I don't see the joy in it. And I don't think that shit is, personally for me, I don't think that shit is cute. For me personally, I feel like a woman should be able to stand on her own two motherfucking feet. You should be able to provide for your fucking self because, God forbid, even if you do fucking marry, that man could die, today or tomorrow. And if you ain't got no job, you ain't got no skills, and that man fucking die, how the fuck you gonna live? So it was just like, I had a clear understanding, like, shit, you gotta make sure you have your own, because, anything can happen. Shit, he leave, you still gotta be able to provide for these kids, because shit, if he was already showing, he didn't give a fuck about them kids. I was taking care of him. He was sleeping upstairs, I was sleeping downstairs, but shit, he would be so disrespectful. He would be bringing these men into my home, messing with them in my bed. And it was just like, the shit was just so fucking disrespectful. He'd be like, shit, well, how much is your life insurance? And it would come to like every, few months, he'd be like, and the life insurance is how much? And then I was like, what? And then that's when I noticed, like, my grandma called me like, yeah, I got these insurance policy on Sharita and the kids, but I never processed it at that time. Like, I'm taking it as, hey, they're just trying to secure our life, not knowing that they, already plotting and planning like shit. When, her and her kids disappear, shit, we getting paid off of this. We throw a little bit of something over there, for the funeral or whatever, and the rest of the shit gonna come to us. And it was just like, that's when I put the pieces together. And then it was just like, when I figured out, like, who all they was messing with, because it was like, shit, when we was in Oklahoma, shit, they was heavy, dealing with motherfuckers, special forces motherfuckers, field artillery. So this is like people that ain't, they ain't shy of, understanding a GUN. They wasn't shy about how to get rid of bodies. They wasn't shy about none of that. So once I understood all of that shit that was going on around me, everything just made logical, sense. And it was just like, in order for me to survive it and be able to, like, blow that shit off, it was just like, okay, I gotta look at it because it's family, and I didn't want to rip that stability from my kids, because of course they going to school and they seeing, oh, they got their dad and stuff, but it was just like, already to me mentally, Shit, I had an understanding like shit. A person could leave you doing it, get you pregnant, and be swearing up and down, I want you to have my baby, and they could leave you right there and then. And it was just like being married already the first time. I was getting my fucking ass beat, and they knew this, and it was like y'all sat there. You need to leave him. Find him, leave him. When I left him, guess what they was doing? Oh no, we need him. They figured out what he was into, dug up his, info and shit like that. And of course, when my first husband, shit, he was using my fucking social security, purchasing cell phones and shit. So that's how I knew whoever was the last little bitch he done married or was fucking on to have these kids with. Her and that bitch, him and that bitch was using my motherfucking information. And I was just like, bruh. So of course, when it came to, but my other baby daddy, they wasn't even expecting it. It was like, oh shit, you just coming back from Afghanistan and you get pregnant. Shit, of course I'm extra fertile, after coming back home. And when my son had the accident or whatever, I just remember just like, bitch, I'm just telling you, my son is about to flatline. He done died in before me, and I'm in fucking shell shock. And the only thing, bitch this, bitch that, bitch, and that's what the fuck you get. And then you call him out sister and blah, 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 blah. It was just like a whole thing, and it was just like it took everything in me just not to hurt this woman. Like I just watched my newborn baby just practically fucking die in front of me. These people that snatch my kids for no fucking reason without doing the proper research. Not me not knowing that shit is my mama egging this shit on, and instead of her checking on like, hey, we need to get all three of these kids together, I'm going through 17 months of motherfucking torture. But lo and behold, not knowing they already had another setup for around the corner for, my soon-to-be ex-husband, my second husband, to come in to do some nonsense. And for him, shit, I should have already knew from the jump. It was just like money, because it was just like how fast he just kept trying. We got to get married. We got to get married. Like, motherfucker, like, I just want to get, barely get to know you and shit. I'm just going through your phone. And it was like, he was like the biggest hoe. Like, I'm seeing men, women, and everything on his motherfucking phone. And I'm just like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. But all I knew was just like, I'm still in pregnancy hormones when it came to me having my fourth child. So it was just like, what the fuck? And it was just like being forced down my throat. And then it was just like, from there, it was just like every time I was trying to leave this man, he would get me pregnant again. You need to stop having some motherfucking kids. Like, motherfucker, I really wanted a big family anyway. I really wanted 13 kids, but it was just like not being able to do that, because it was like, you need to go get your tubes tied, and you need to go do this, and it's always what you need to come do, and you want to pick and choose when you want to be a fucking parent. And then here come Patrick like, oh, well, I'm trying to build a bitch. You too busy talking to Sheila running up her ass, and me not knowing, like, putting the, pieces together. Like, y'all all have been setting this shit up my whole fucking life just to get rid of me. And it was all over fucking money. Didn't nobody really care. Didn't nobody really fucking help me. Didn't nobody really fucking support me. When it was coming time for holidays and stuff like that, where the fuck was everybody at? And then it's like, oh, well, we gonna dig up dirt and make her look like she's guilty, or she's dirty, or she's neglectful, or she's just so hateful. No, bitch, I'm cold to the world, because I really don't give a fuck about people, because anytime that I give a fuck about people, they take a fucking advantage of my fucking kindness. I'm not a hateful person, but if I gotta fucking read you to fucking filth, I'm gonna take this shit to fucking hell. Fuck your feelings, fuck your mama, fuck your daddy, fuck your kids, fuck whoever it is that you fucking care about in this world. And it's just like, people just couldn't understand, like, why is she being like that? Because y'all too busy sitting here running y'all mouth, and instead of coming to me directly and asking me, like, oh, do this, like, why should I have feelings? Why should I have emotions about anything? Because it's like, I'd be damned if you feel like you gonna hold shit over my motherfucking head. Try again. You can do that shit with anybody else. They gonna hide their sexuality. They gonna hide what the fuck dirt that they did. Because all the dirt that I ever did, you can go through this motherfucking timeline and hear the fuck about it. Yes, I stayed with a motherfucker that I know I should have fucking let go of. Yes, I knew he was, all involved in it. And I was in love with him, but it was just like, shit, fuck love. What love got to do with it at the end of the day, when every time that I turn around, this nigga thinking, oh, you lying. Like, motherfucker, I'm the only one in your corner trying to support you. But shit, at the end of the day, it was a trauma bond. So why the fuck would I get mad about that? But all this is just to say is, like, I refuse for anybody trying to make me feel guilty, feel bad, or anything. Shit, everybody go through a lot of fucking shit, but a lot of people is not bold enough to admit they shit just like the fuck I did. I'm not scared and I'm not fucking ashamed and I'm not fucking live like that for anybody to feel like that you gonna hold anything over me about what I did, what I say, how I behave, how I move. And just because I don't feel like telling you my business, Sheila, it doesn't mean she lying, she secretive, she hiding shit. No, it's just I don't like you in my motherfucking business, bitch, because you run your motherfucking mouth and you be lying and exaggerating and manipulating people. Got people believing that I'm like some kind of child abuser, I'm neglectful, or I touch on kids and shit like that. Like, no, that shit ain't finna be flying no more. If y'all gonna sit there and try to tell some shit, tell the fucking truth. She ain't the fucking devil. Quit trying to use me and think like, oh, we gonna dig this up and we gonna dig this up, and then y'all out here bending the fucking truth. No, the truth shall set you free. Quit blocking my motherfucking content, bitch, and then let people hear the fucking truth. It's coming from the horse's mouth, not from y'all sitting there bending the truth and making up shit about what it is that I do or didn't do. And shit, what? Oh, you was sleeping with girls. I'm not no motherfucking lesbian. I don't even care what a bitch got between her motherfucking legs, and I don't like fucking girls. Shit, I hardly even fucking care about a man at this point, considering half these damn men is trapped in the goddamn closet or fucking traumatized and don't even know how to get fucking therapy. So shit, fuck love at this point. Shit, I love myself and I love the 2 kids that I got in fucking front of me, because y'all turning my kids and my daughters and them, making them think, oh, your mama don't care. All she cares is about a man. No, bitch, that was you. That's y'all bitch asses that all y'all running after fucking dick. Calling your fucking husband, disrespecting you all the fucking time. Y'all don't know what the fuck unconditional love is, and I show that shit time after fucking time after time when I'm forgiving all y'all motherfucking people down to the police and all this other stuff, and y'all doing all this fucking hateful shit, but not knowing nobody fucking story. Like, ain't nobody got no fucking feelings. I got fucking feelings. And that's fucking hateful, and y'all know y'all fucking wrong, and y'all gonna pay for that shit one day. Y'all don't do nobody like that, because I wouldn't do nobody like that, and I always sit there and look to be understanding to everybody's fucking pain. But where is anybody to sit there and say, Sharita, the world is okay? Nowhere. No fucking where. So how dare anybody ask me to have fucking mercy on y'all life and y'all soul when it's time for y'all to get locked up and shit and y'all sick? I don't give a fuck about nobody. Because where was anybody when my baby died? Where was anybody at when I was going through all this fucking shit? I put myself through fucking therapy. Because I was scared of my fucking self. I wouldn't want nobody sitting there. If you can, just stand in your fucking truth and don't let nobody hold shit against you, because don't nobody ever know what the fuck you went through. And don't nobody know all the fucking trauma and abuse that y'all was fucking taking me through. I'm gonna stand in that. Fuck y'all.